everybody. So this episode, we're going to be talking about health coaches, um, kind of introducing you to that side because I'd never heard of it. This is Cash. She's going to, I guess, explain a little more.
Hi, my name is Cash, as I was just introduced, and I'm a certified health coach. And a lot of people don't know what that is, so I would love to share and add some insight and some deeper, and just deeper perspective on what it is and how it can be beneficial.
So what is a health coach?
So health coach is a combination of we wear a few different hats. A health coach, like a trainer would train an athlete or a person, individual in the gym and help prepare their body for physical endurance and maybe agility. They train that person. There could be a fit person. They could be genetic. I know you are into fitness. Some people need that assistance. Some people need that focus, and they need that motivation. They need that accountability. So just like a trainer would train an athlete or an individual in the gym to help isolate, specialize, enhance different parts of the body, a health coach helps a person meet their wellness goals, whether it's natural and holistic or just health goals in general. It just helps them be accountable. It helps, maneuver the person with their maybe hangups or difficulties, and being on point or consistent, and also being basically a thesaurus of information that people just don't know, or that they know but don't know how to apply. So personally, I make things relatively just relative. Like, I relate to a lot of people, unfortunately and fortunately. I've been through some stuff. So when people say, well, you know what I mean? You never been through that. I might have. So I make it really, really relatable.
Okay.
I'm all about practical health. So a health coach, in sense, like an athlete needs a personal trainer, whether you're training for the Olympics or just for that 10K, whatever it is. A health coach helps individuals and groups of people meet their wellness goals step by step.
So what's the difference between a health coach and a life coach? Because they sound similar.
Okay, good point. So a life coach, we're kind of a combination of all of those, and I'll get to that next. But a life coach is really, goals that you may have in personal and or professional, mostly professional, not so much family oriented, but professional mostly, and or just environmental. So they might say, my goal in life is to achieve this much, or get here, or get out of this and be this type of person. So they kind of check in with you and, help guide you along the way. They don't base any of their assistance really on nutrition. Nutrition is key. A health coach bases their focus is really primary food and secondary food, and that's foreign to a lot of people. Have you ever heard of anything called primary food?
No, all food's primary to me.
Okay, well, does it ring a bell? Would you, if I asked you what would primary food be, what comes
Not
to
at
your
all.
mind?
Not at
Nothing.
all. I
Okay.
wouldn't know. So help me out. What's primary food?
Okay, so primary food is everything but what you put in your body.
Huh?
Yes. So primary food is your environment. There's a quote that says, environment is stronger than willpower. And I know that is truer than true. It really, someone can pray, meditate, put a ring around them as much as they want. Eventually, environment will prove to be stronger and outweigh willpower. Most of
Wow,
the
I
time.
never heard of that. So that's going to be on the life coach side or the health coach side?
This is health coach. So every health coach that within the school, I graduated from the largest nutritional school in the world. It's called the Institute for Integrative Nutrition.
No, what's the school?
The Institute for Integrative Nutrition.
Okay.
So it's number one in the largest nutritional school in the world. And every health coach that finishes that program, we know have a focus in primary food. And primary food is relationships, it's sexuality, it's environment, it's everything but what goes into your body. Because, as you may have experienced, a lot of people can eat the healthiest and juice every morning and get their green and go to the gym, and they end up with cancer, or they end up with another terminal illness, or
Hey, wait. I feel
I'm
targeted.
not, nope. I knew you were gonna say you feel attacked, or even just, heart attack. This perfect example. The number one killer in America is heart attack.
Yes.
And it's not because they're unhealthy necessarily. It's because they don't like their job. when you do something that you don't want to do every single day, or 90% of your livelihood from adulthood into mid-age and thereafter, that is your primary food. It's your day in, day out. It's not feeding you, and that will cause you to die.
So how does a health coach benefit me?
A health coach benefits everybody in multitudes of ways. So,
Well, I'm
getting
a
to
cancer patient, so
patient. Okay. Perfect.
what would
So, uh, it's unfortunate. Real quick before I answer that, a health coach is a combination of a dietitian, a therapist, a life coach. Then you have your health coach, like what we do, and not a doctor, but say a holistic practitioner. We are the combined fabulous five in one. So a dietitian will tell you what to eat because of your whatever your blood work or your body type or what have you, and they're going to tell you maybe a couple of things to try. They're not really going to check in on you. You don't talk with them weekly, daily. I don't know any of that. Don't do that. They just don't have time for that.
okay?
A therapist, you talk to a therapist. A therapist asks you questions. They make you think. It's not in their scope of practice to give you advice. They will never say, well, I think you should. They will say, well, do you think, or what do you feel, or how do you feel about that? And a doctor, you see when your conditions are no longer manageable. No one goes to a doctor every week or every day to check in. They'll be like, why are you in my office? You're a hypochondriac. Why are you here? Go away. Like, you've got to take, just like a hairstylist, you go to your hairstylist to get a cut or a color, something you can't do day to day on your own. So doctors are the same thing. Doctors, when you have a condition or something that's unmanageable, you go see your doctor, and they prescribe medicine or they prescribe surgery. That's what they study. That's what their thing is. And they could do workup. And so we did dietitian, therapist, doctor, life coach, right? Which is like major life goals and shifting and turning and growth. So health coach is kind of wears all of those hats. Not a doctor. If there's anything out of scope of practice, we work with other physicians, possibly sometimes, to refer you to see somebody that's in that, that's a specialist.
So what would something like that cost? So let's say
it really depends. You could do groups. There's a group, for example, I have groups where I do $25 a person per month. I have groups where it's $50 per person per month, and they're 6 months program. Typically, there's a 6 months program minimum, and it'll cost $100 to $250 a month. It really depends.
It's cheaper than going to the doctor, almost.
Absolutely. It's your maintenance. It's cheaper to maintain something than to have it go out and buy a new transmission or engine or tire. You maintain it, then you don't need to go to the doctor.
So if I needed a health coach and just say, I didn't know you, where would I find one?
Great question. Health coaches can be found. There's a great database. I can't think of the top of my head, but I can send it to you after. I wish I could write it in, but there's a database we can find doctors, actual practitioners, and medical doctors that work with health coaches.
You can send me the link, and I'll put it in the video. I'll put it in the comment section. So look in the comment section later on, or after the video or whatever when you're watching the video. It should be down there. Right. Cass, are there any other benefits of having a health coach?
Yes, aside from. Just put it this way, sometimes you can travel and these people that talk to strangers and they'll tell strangers everything, their deepest dark secrets. You don't usually share that stuff with your doctor, with your therapist, because you don't want to feel judged. So health coach is almost even like a real personal diary, really understanding why there are triggers and things going on in your life and helping you assess them and overcome them and meeting your health goals. Again, primary food is a focus, secondary food is, second focus. And so to be able to be yourself and really just let it all out is beneficial to you, because then you're being real. And when you can be real change can happen. So I recommend a health coach for everybody, because, if you've been to your doctor 4 or 5 times for the same thing, you're kind of like, hey, doc, you don't really want to tell them what's going on because you weren't accountable. They're not going to hold you accountable. A health coach is your accountability partner. I highly recommend a health coach for everybody. It's better than your best friend, because your best friend already knows all your business and they're kind of judgmental. Health coach is just like, really? Word? And they help you see another side and get you over that.
what can I expect from a visit? Let's say I were to go in one of these groups.
Right. Okay. So whether you do a group or individual, with a health coach, you would probably fill out some sort of intake form, which will go over your history, your health history, your
Okay.
age, weight, your date of birth, your health goals, health concerns, and any kind of past or current conditions that you may have.
Okay.
Followed by that, and that's usually sometimes a free consultation. Health histories are not, you can charge like a doctor would, and then it would go towards a package or a program if you decided to get with that health coach. However, it's very important. What I have done is I do an interview with the health history. You send the health history out within a week minimum. You meet with that person and you see if your personalities work well together, because if you don't, it's not going to work for either person.
So it's like a marriage. If you don't get along, it's not going to work. You're not going to trust her.
Yeah,
You're
it's a
not going to.
partnership. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to, say trust right from the beginning, but you would know if there's an energy, if there's static. And so you do your intake, you do your health history, and then you meet for a very strict 50 minutes. You go over the health history, and through that conversation, it's literally a conversation. Through the conversation of the health history, the health coach will say, well, I would love to work with you. I believe would be a good fit, and so on and so forth. And you would discuss the terms there.
Okay.
Every health coach can pretty much set their own rates, depending on the city you live in, depending on what they give. My programs come with a lot of gifts, from different products to books to tools to help you succeed and be consistent.
Okay. So what's the frequency? You're saying that we do that one time a month, or?
Yes. So group programs vary. It's usually 1 to 2 times a month. You meet up for about an hour.
So the $25 one would be one time a month, and the 50 would be two.
The $50 a month. It really depends on the package. I mean, I'm
Okay.
just going based off on my packages. This is by
So why don't you give me some kind of link or something, and we'll put your
Yeah,
packages here, and that'll give them kind of a guide, and you can go
absolutely.
from there.
Yeah.
So I think that's awesome. I think I've gotten quite a bit from it. I want to look into it for myself because I think I've never heard of a health coach at all. I mean, I've never heard of it at all. And I think it's beneficial because between those doctor's visits, even if you were to go to a psychologist and they gave you some medicine, when is the next time you go? It's
Exactly.
so someone checking on you, every month, especially someone that's dealing with cancer, you kind of need that one-on-one.
Hmm.
Even, I'm going through chemotherapy now. And so they do my blood work.
Yeah.
And if I have any, problems, every 2 weeks I'll tell them, but to have somebody to help you track those goals, what are your goals? Where are you going forward? And especially because what you're saying, it's good for you mentally as well, right?
Absolutely. One of the biggest things I took away from getting my credentials is being a listener. There are different types of listeners, and I love doctors, and doctors have a crucial role in our livelihood. However, there are different types of listeners, and some doctors, I had a personal experience with that, and I know you have too. They don't listen. They hear you, but they're not listening. And a health coach, one of the key tools, and it's a skill that you have to exercise, is being an engaging and real thorough listener, and not the one that's in there taking notes while you're telling about your day. There are different, there's different listening skills between body language, whether someone likes to say, be going, uh-huh, or a head nod, or so
I
what
just
you're
shook my head. What's wrong with that?
yeah, no, there's just different type of listeners. That's a whole another conversation. I love
Okay.
talking about listening, but really listening to what the person is saying, because a lot of times, just like our mouths could be saying one thing, but our brain is saying another. Our brain could be saying anything, but our body does not engage. There's a disconnect. So a health coach who is in a place, coming from a place of awareness, and it is the duty to really just heal. Doctors and health coaches have the same goal, to keep you better and keep you healthy, but different approach. And so doctors listening or taking notes or listening to bullet points and saying, okay, 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 and saying, okay, well, do you want to take this? Or do you want to take that? Or do you want to come back in a week after you sleep or exercise or drink this and let me know? A health coach is looking at the whole body. There's a saying where you cannot treat the arm or the elbow if there's a lesion on there without treating the liver, because we're all connected. Everything is connected. And so health coach practices holistic health. It's the whole body. It's listening and paying attention that, someone could be complaining about migraines or back pain. It's connected to something else internally. And it's really focusing on that and trying to make the best decision individually, not because 4 patients came in and said they had a twitch in their left arm. The doctor's like, yeah, I've seen that before. Let me just, oh, I've seen that before. No. Everybody is different. And health coaches really focus on individuality.
So I think that's awesome, especially for someone going through a cancer battle or any other health issues, because it gives you that more one-on-one time, because you go to the doctor every 6 months, sometimes every once a year, but that helps you track your progress. Huh?
Wow. Yeah. Well, I don't go to doctors much, but I'm like, that's crazy.
I don't think you can substitute. I don't think you can. Oh, I went every 6 months, but the thing was, I had a lot of issues and I was communicating those, but I think it kind of gets lost in the sauce. And so, I'd had certain things to go on, with my symptoms that probably all tied in together, but they didn't happen at the same time. And it just, I'm not blaming anyone, and definitely not my doctor. My doctor's awesome. It's just, I tell people this, and I'll use this analogy again. If you watch my videos, you see it all the time. It's like if I have a problem with my car and it's the brakes and I don't find a way to communicate that with the doctor, I come back, he might put a radio in there. I mean, with the mechanic, he might put a radio in there, might put a engine in there. You have to point them in the right direction, and you have to give them that. And I think when you have a life coach, you might be more apt to talk to them or more open with them because you're speaking to them more frequently.
Health coach.
What I'm understanding, a health coach.
A health coach, yeah, not life coach.
I'm sorry, health coach. Yeah. Then you speak to them more frequently, then they're probably a little more familiar with it. Because one thing that I've noticed in doctors' offices is they don't charge a lot, so they have to get their money in volume. And so if I go to a doctor's office, they're always packed. You're waiting in the waiting room for 2 hours. Your appointment's at 8 o'clock. You don't get back to the back until 10. And then when you get to the back, you might wait another 30 minutes. And then when the doctor comes in, you might spend 10 minutes and you're gone because they have to get in that volume. And so I'm not blaming them because that's kind of what they have to do to make their money. And so you don't get that quality time, that one-on-one time, or maybe not their primary focus.
It's intimate.
Yes, intimate. Thank you.
You're welcome. I was listening and I was tuning in. That's what we do. So I was listening to you.
Did you shake your head?
No, I leaned in. I leaned in.
You leaned in and you prayed. You leaned in.
I leaned in. Yeah, I leaned in because I was trying to, through this computer with our social distancing is, put into the word. I was trying to say I was trying to get it to you. And then also you mentioned, waiting room and sitting and waiting. With a health coach, you are that one person. There's no waiting. Even if I had appointments at 11 to 11:50 and then 2 to 1, whatever, I give myself time in between because you do need to regroup and old energy, new energy, renew, reset. And there is no waiting room, not even like going to get your hair done and you're waiting for your stylist and, she only does one at a time, but then there's eventually you see that she's got 3 other people, or he's got 3 other people, he's got a little touch up, this and that. Health coaches, it's all about that intimacy and individuality, which is why the health history is important, because before you meet, you get to the health coach can read like, is this for me? Well, maybe it's out of my scope of practice. Maybe this is not my thing. Oh, they're a Scorpio. Just kidding. Just kind of get an idea of what they're dealing with and what their health coach goals are. And then have that meeting and say, yes, we're a good match, because it's important, If
I need to see a health coach, is it online or how do I do that?
That's a good question. Typically how you do your interviews or your meetings with your health coach is how you start. With COVID right now, COVID-19, everything is virtual, and absolutely there are virtual meetings. That's how a lot of people are operating. I have a 2-year-old and we had a pediatric appointment virtually. So 100%, it's not as personable, but it can be just as intimate as long as there is, no interruptions in your space, because you will speak about unspeakable things. You know, health coaches, again, like I said earlier, it's primary food and then secondary food. You know, there's all kinds of studies that show how long you can go without food. You don't absolutely need to meet in person. You definitely can do it online. Virtual meetings are recommended. That's how a lot of people are getting things done today. And it's still intimate. It really just depends on your space, you know?
Okay. That's awesome. This is Cash. Her information is going to be in the links below. Check her out. And if you have any questions, you know, don't feel free to reach out to her. But I think what she's offering is pretty beneficial. And so check it out. Thanks a lot, Cash.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Bye.